Be more grind, rise, shine through the struggle. Black dollar circulate, flexing muscle. Politics and biz building walls like bricks. Motown soul rap mixed in the fix. Tiny cover spitting truth, microphone holder. Past the noise scene, watch growth in the folder. Black beers, bright spotlight in the dark. Hustling hard, lighting sparks in the park. Beam on news, where we breaking glass ceilings. All black everything, income healing. Donnie Glover, flip the script, let's go. Black Wall Street, roadmap, be more flow. Real talk, stock rise, dreams ain't looking hollow. Blueprints, handshakes, enemies wallow. Baltimore kings, queens, crown on the throne. Legacy built, stone by stone. Headlines, deadlines, moves in the background. Politics, money clips, elevate the town. Black beard strategists, wealth can't be missed. Twist the plot, make the whole world twist. Be more news, success we inhaling. Victories, IRS, no detailing. Donnie Glover, rise to shine, let's glow. Focused on green, black, Wall Street in tow.
First name's Donnie, last name's Glover, in it to win it for the long haul, baby. Welcome back to the Indigenous series. I gotta just put this out there. Quote, and yeah, we're talking about indigenous, but you know, this has come up, and prowling blacks go around for fun to target white people. This was May 2023. If I see a black pilot, I'm going to be like, boy, I hope he's qualified. Calling the concept of white privilege a myth and a racist idea. Using and promoting the great replacement rhetoric. Making statements suggesting that demographic shifts, especially via immigration, are aimed at replacing white rural America. 5, criticism of affirmative action, saying people are in positions because of race rather than merit. Number 6, blaming black family structure and culture for social issues. 7, criticism of Dr. King and the Civil Rights Act. Comments about Indians and Indian immigrants. He said America does not need more visas for people from India, arguing that it affects job opportunities, and express views that non-Christian Indians are less aligned with American identity. Number 9, statements calling for forceful measures against migrants, harsher immigration rhetoric. And number 10, these are the top 10 things from Charlie, saying some gun deaths are worth it for the protection of Second Amendment rights. I just had to get that out there. Let me welcome our guests to the stage. Morocco, DJ Rod, Horace, Hannibal. I just had to put that out there, Jason. I see you smiling because I done found people that look like us apologizing on Facebook, buck dancing, shuffling, stepping and fetching. And I'm like, brother, sister, slavery is over. Juneteenth memo went out. The email went out. Why are you huckabucking? Why? Do y'all know? Did y'all see that? I'm just saying, you know, I wrote a book, and the first book I wrote, it was called, and now we know what apologetically black is. My book is unapologetically black. But I done met some apologetically black people. But we're here to talk about natives and indigenous. Morocco Coleman, introduce yourself. Tell them who you are.
Greetings, everybody. My name is Morocco Coleman, Atlanta, Georgia, Vietnam combat vet, Retired as the director for the state of Georgia for Veterans Programs. I chair a board with the Congressional Black Caucus Veterans Brain Trust, Washington, D.C. since 1992. And I've recently taken a slot as Armed Services and Veterans Affairs with the local branch of the NAACP for Atlanta. And being a native Atlantan, I'm about my people. And so I've gotten my hands in a lot of stuff in the community and comprehensively. As I said, I'm about my people.
Okay. Jason Rodriguez, introduce yourself.
Peace and blessings, family. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear, sir.
All right. Brother Jason Rodriguez. I don't like to call myself a community activist. I like to say that I'm a abolitionist trying to liberate my community. I'm part of People Empowered by the Struggle. I'm the deputy executive director for the organization. We are a one-stop shop organization for all struggles. Doesn't matter what your struggle may be. Folks come to us and we help them to navigate to the resources. I'm also the assistant chief engineer for Urban One Baltimore, and just really a servant of the community, looking for ways to be able to serve and atone for my years of partaking in the negativity in our community. So that's where I'm at in my life, atonement.
Horace.
Peace, my brothers. Peace to everybody on the panel. Horace Lee, hailing out of south side of Chicago, Illinois. I'm a student of all of the greats that came before us. And I'm, learning as I go, even though, like my man, what's my brother name out of Philly, from the Roots. He said, fools sweated wise, wise men know they foolish.
Black Thought.
Black Thought, yes, sir. So I'm a student of the game, and I'm just happy to be here, bringing this energy to the world, because the more that we speak these positivities into existence, the more we switch up the vibrations to work in the favor of ourselves and the people.
Good deal. Hannibal, introduce yourself.
Hey, hi. How y'all doing, everybody? My name is Hannibal James. I'm a native of Detroit, Michigan. I'm a family genealogist. I've been doing our family's history for like 20 years. So I know a little bit about Native American and African American interactions throughout history. And I'm just great to be here. I'm just glad to be here, you guys.
Okay, so before we get started, I just want to clear the air. Now, I think I know all of y'all to be pretty thorough, but do any of y'all have a burning desire to step and fetch it, buck dance, huck a buck, or anything like that? Because I want you to get it on out the way. I didn't think so. Okay. So, Horace, you asked that we get Brenda on the line. And during the last show, Brenda, come on, Brenda. You sound like you're in the supermarket. Brenda, say hello to everybody. Brenda Bennett, y'all.
Hi, I'm here.
Okay. So, Horace wanted to share some thoughts. Let me just put it up here. We got Brenda Bennett on the line, and she has been sharing with us for some time about the E1B1A, about the Band 2, and about our commonality. You say it, Horace. You studied it better than me.
Okay, well, when I was first introduced to the sister on the show that you shared her input, I was a little biased, as she said, in regards to the biblical narratives, because we as a people know that we have been ostracized by the Bible. But we also, as we are gaining knowledge in this day, we understand that, well, in order for them to be able to ostracize us, they had to come with something that we were familiar with and add a few things in there to confuse us. So now I'm here on the sister's defense when it comes to the bloodline. And I think that, well, like I was saying, that we weren't Hebrew Israelites And she understood that well, even though it was a little complicated how she was trying to get the point across. But what she was actually defining was a bloodline of people on the planet who have actually been oppressed by another bloodline of people. So these particular bloodlines just happen to come out in the names of like the children of Israel, the Hebrew Israelites, or Esau and Jacob, but those are just sort of mirrored titles of what the real issue is, and it's not the names, it's actual bloodlines that she was speaking of. So I told the sister that I was going to defend her, so then maybe the rest of the viewers who were in disagreement with her, as so was I, that they could understand a little bit more that she's speaking of bloodlines, and I completely understand where she's coming from now, because we have been oppressed. And if you pay attention, even though it's extremely deep, we have literally been oppressed by a specific bloodline of people. And those bloodlines also come out in the to politicians, like the presidents, where all of them are kin to each other and things of that nature. So that's what the sister was speaking of. So I'm here in her defense, and I want to offer her a public apology for, being a little, sort of, in disagreement with what she was saying as defining the people here on Turtle Island as Hebrew Israelites. But it's not about the name; it's about the bloodline.
Okay, well, I do appreciate that, and I realize that it's very complex, and sometimes we tend not to, a lot of us are very discouraged. I say we've experienced a lot of spiritual abuse with that book, or with the collection of book, and the way it was put together, what was added. And I think that's what people are really reacting to, largely.
Okay. I just got to ask, Brenda, are you, well, no, I'm not going to ask you that, because that would be getting smart, and I ain't going to do that. But any thoughts on Charlie Kirk?
For myself, no. No thoughts on him. I know very little about it, and, I'm sorry to hear anyone lose their life. Even if they're expressing an opinion that's really not esteeming the community that I'm a part of. I think when a person's life is taken, it doesn't give them an opportunity to repent and change their thinking, because, we all come to a place where we're thinking one way, and in time, our thinking sometimes transforms. And with his death, it didn't allow for him to ever, transform his thinking.
And it didn't allow Black people a chance to heal from that BS, because we've been traumatizing this again. It's like Black people are being blamed for this man's BS.
Mm-hmm.
Don't blame me for your stuff. That's your stuff. You clean up your mess.
Donnie, every time folks come to me and mention his name, I always say, let's remember Dr. Stacy Patton. Let's remember this dear sister who was attacked, put on this list, this hit list, so-called hit list of professors, university educators, those who ran some of the most prestigious collegiate departments, especially at HBCUs around the country. And this man deliberately went after, in many cases.
I don't have that much forgiveness in I'm about forgiveness, especially after this crazy election. I'm about forgiveness. You got the wrong one.
Yeah.
I'm not that Christian. I realize today I'm not that much a Christian.
And that's why I said I mentioned Stacy, Patton, because again, these are some of the victims, that still have to live with what Charlie Kirk has done to them.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm not sorry.
Mm-hmm.
You got the wrong one.
And what's crazy, Donnie, is what you're seeing is you're seeing, this new, I guess, face of white supremacy. It's no longer the David Dukes, the fat, bald-headed white guy. Now it's the more charismatic,
It's Black people.
But I'm saying, as far as Charlie Kirk is concerned,
people who work for white supremacy, what the hell are you doing, son? It's not Halloween.
Yeah. And if you understood the victims again,
you got the wrong
that were targeted, if you understood the victims that were targeted, purposely targeted by his organization, you know.
No. Fly a flag at half mast.
Days before 9/11, and Donnie, you know, I served 4 days at 9/11, digging out the bodies, you know, in the bucket brigades, out there with the construction workers and the rescue workers and the law enforcement and emergency rescue folks that were out there for 4 days. So, you know, to me, that's a slap in the face of those, you know, who have paid the price. Many of them have lost their lives, have gotten cancer and weird illnesses. I'm still questioning, why am I still here after being down there for 4 days? I'm expecting myself to end up with some weird cancer or some weird disease. But to me, it's a slap in the face days before September 11th, where you should be lowering the flags to recognize, you know, a historic point in Americans history, in America's history. You lower the flags for, again, a hateful, race mongering, you know, it makes no sense.
You know, I
want you come on in and I'm sorry. Go ahead, Horace.
Well, I just think that after 400 or 500 years of someone showing us that they're our enemies, that there should be no confusion on our part.
Yeah.
You know, that's just like walking past someone's yard that has a dog that bites you every day you walk past. When the hell are you going to cross the street?
Well, so what about when you cross the street, the dog come over there chasing you?
Hey, you either gotta take flight or protect yourself. But when someone shows you that they're an open enemy, then I think that the confusion comes on the part of us still under that biblical spell of love your master. You know, if he beats you but he's thirsty, give him a cool drink, you know, and all that malarkey. And it's unfortunate that, man, you know, that we even still in that frame of mind to this day.
Are we sick, master? Thing. We sick, master? We sick?
Our stomach hurts.
Right.
I often think about like the end result. What is as a collective people, what is our end result? Because there's a lot of things that get us distracted, like the peripherals, you know, common things that's happening in the world today, things that have happened in the past. There's so many things that kind of move the target for us. So like, I'm appreciative, you know, and I can see the awakening of us, you know, from many angles, because we are the first and we're going to be connected to many historical things in history. I think that when we get to the point where we try to pinpoint certain things, it causes distraction. I think like to Brenda's point, it's things in history, it's things in books written on the university level that confirms her assertion that Native Americans are Hebrew Israelites. I tried to say at the last conversation with a guy named Francisco de Chicora, Chicora, Chicora. You can find him in a book called Lost Tribes and Promised Lands. This Native American from South Carolina off the PD River, he translated to these folks saying that he was from Israel. Now, that's either here or there, or we can go into the details and people say, well, the rhetoric is here or there. Some of the native tribes believed in it, some of them didn't. Some of the African tribes believed in it, some of them didn't. It's to each their own, I believe. I think the picture is grander.
My understanding is if they are Hebrew, then a telltale sign is circumcision.
Right, the 8th day, right? Upon the 8th day of being born, right?
Yes.
It's either here or there. I'm not an expert on that, and and I can't say that I am. And I think, like I said, we move the goalposts when we try to get there. You know,
what should we be focused on then, Hannibal? Because there's a growing generation of people younger than us who have found out, like we had on the show, this is Sunday, Friday, Thursday night, Big Chief Top Cats. And he talked about a couple hundred years of indigenous ancestry that he's been able to find out. And they're not claiming Africa, Africans, or Pan-Africanism at all. They posed the question, what has Africa done for you? They said that there are more pyramids, and I found it to be true, in the Americas than in Africa. They are unearthing information we thought we heard, but they heard what we missed.
Do they say that?
They say, I said, did you get the grandma story? And y'all know what I'm talking about. My grandmother told me she was Indian.
Yeah, I got that story, and that story is present on both sides of my family. It
Skip
took me
Gates from Harvard said 2 to 3% of us have that story. I think now I don't know. Mike Lane said 96% in the other way, but I figure it's got to be at least half of us.
I think it's greater than that. Like you, I think the first person said like 90-something%. I think it's about that high because over the years, we all are related in some form or fashion. I think that the information is there for the families. If you can connect yourself to the free people of color from Virginia, from Maryland, especially if you got ancestors from North Carolina, you got Native American ancestry. You got ancestors from a place called Vigo County, Indiana. You got Native American ancestry. If you from Atlanta, or your ancestors was there in Atlanta before emancipation, you got Native American ancestry.
Watch this. I'm glad you said Atlanta. Morocco's in Atlanta. Morocco, what'd you find? Are you indigenous?
I did. Yeah. The numbers say so. I did my DNA some 12, 14 years ago, and it was under Ancestry.com. But about 25 to 30 years ago, when I first became interested, I started looking at a project that was called the National Geographic Genome Project.
Okay.
National Geographic Genome Project.
Yeah, GENOME. Okay, the Genome Project. And you send off the samples and whatnot, and it takes about 6 weeks to return. Ironically, my wife was working at her church, and there was some white missionaries that came years before, and they started asking members of the congregation on a monthly basis when they come in to just take their change out of the pocket and put it in a jar or put it aside. And then after 2 or 3 months, the people would bring those coins, and they would be converted and would go back to Africa to a tribe there, and they would make these baskets. They made little bitty baskets all the way to big baskets. So my wife got heavily involved, and she learned how to read the colors and the designs that was woven into these baskets. So she could tell like how many women in the village had AIDS, how many had this, and it was statistical. And hers came back in 6 weeks, and it said that she came from the southern tip of Africa, etc. Turns out that she's part of the Bantu people, and unbeknownst to her, this was the group in Africa that she was helping to send these resources to. Now mine, they said, we got to break yours down a little more. We got to drop the RFPL on your DNA. So it keeps going and keeps going. It turned out to be 6 months. When they finally sent the report, it says, what took so long on mine? It says that I came from a group some 49,000 years ago before the Pangea. And they just looked up one day and said, let's walk across the earth and see what's out here. So they started around towards Asia and India. And it says everywhere they went, they left a remnant of people. They came on around into the Caucasus Mountains, Caucasians in the European theater, came on around to the United States down into North America. And it says what took so long on mine is that the group that I came from some 49,000 years ago, they said out of all the DNA they've collected so far in studies, that every non-African male on the face of the earth today carries a strain of the DNA that I carried from this group 49,000 years ago. So I found that extremely interesting. And it gave me so Ancestry gave me the numbers years later associated with that. So Ancestry says that I'm 72% Africa, everywhere in Africa, 22% European, and 2% Native American. And so one of the things I've been seeing quite a bit now, as we get more into the African mindset and these kind of researches, we're finding that the system is now talking about, well, about the same time that Africa was rising in the cradle there, there was, in the Caucasus area, there was Cro-Magnon and Neanderthal. A couple of days ago, I saw a report that says, well, they're pumping that out here, but there's no African-American or Black DNA that's reflective of anything Neanderthal or Cro-Magnon. So from this, deduction is everything came from us, which we already know. So everything came from us. You got some recessive genes out there, but then I firmly believe.
You losing me.
Yeah.
I think it was Parliament Funkadelic. They came up with the song Troglodytes. Are you talking about cavemen among us?
Yeah, take that. Yeah, take that to the bank. But the thing is, I feel that everything came from us. There's something recessive, but at the same time, you got something else out there that came from a whole nother place in time. And I haven't gotten down to it. I've got my own supposition and my own little ideas about it. But those are the kind of things that are swirling around in the back of my oblongata. And I just have to keep chipping away at it. And bits and pieces will come as I'm ready for it. I can't push it. I just have to be open and understand some things and be susceptible for knowledge to come, no matter how far in the left field it is, to take a hard look at it.
So there's a part of this story about DNA that I don't believe that the blacks in South America walked through the Bering Strait, through North America, all the way down to South America to where they found this woman's bones in Brazil. I'm thinking somebody walked from Africa or came from Africa across the Atlantic, because she is right there in Brazil where them boats can go from West Africa straight into Brazil. And so I don't know about the Pangea. I do know South America looked like it fits right into Africa.
Yeah.
So
before the continents split,
right?
You had a landmass where you could just walk across the earth.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Well,
not only that,
split, the blacks in South America are cousins, it would seem to me, to the cousins in Southern Africa.
We just dropped some off along the way.
Yeah. And Donnie, look, they're finding through archaeological studies right now, at least 24,000 years we had settled in places like Maine, in those regions, coming out of what they call the ending of the Ice Age. There was an ice sheet that we could literally walk across from Africa or parts of Asia straight into Maine. They're finding now through archaeological digs, they're finding arrowheads and all kinds of other tools. And the materials that are used for the tools, the rock and the quartz, only comes from one region, comes from Africa, only comes from that region. They can't find those stones. They can't find the materials that were used to make these tools anywhere within that region. So we know, like I said, 24,000 years ago, we were settling already here and going back and forth between the continents.
Yeah.
Can I say something, brothers, right quick?
Certainly.
24,000 years is a small number.
Of course.
Very small. That's like trying to compare a cup of water to the ocean. So when we're dealing with these people who are throwing these numbers out here at us, where the method that they use to date things that were alive and well, the carbon-14 dating method, according to their notes, that it only goes up to 35,000 years. Anything after 35,000 years is a guesstimation. So when they start throwing these numbers at us, man, they all be BS numbers. These people know that we've been here for aeons. So
I gotta throw this in there. Y'all see this picture of this woman right here? This was Lucia. This is the picture that they constructed, the face they constructed from the DNA, and this was a few years ago. Now, if y'all pay attention to that forehead, this right here is the new picture of Lucia.
Okay.
That's different.
You damn right it's different. My question to you is, does racism play a role in science?
Oh, of course. It
Look
always
at that
has.
forehead, and then look at this one.
Look at
Totally
Egypt.
different.
Look at Egypt and the mess that they made in reference to, the historical findings in Egypt. They removed the 25th dynasty.
Charles Darwin.
Yeah.
Charles Darwin was a clown.
Yeah. You completely removed the 25th dynasty because you don't want to recognize Nubia's presence in Egypt. Like, I mean, we know that history has been.
So I can't trust nothing they say. See, when you lie to me once, I don't trust you.
Right.
You've shown yourself to be a liar over and over. It's like your kid coming to you. Oh, no, daddy, I didn't do it. You know you're a kid.
But Donnie, that's why shows like this are so important, because like brothers like us to come together. We've all got pieces of the puzzle here and kicking some things, but we're zeroing in. And with a certain kind of consciousness, it's carrying us. I find it exciting. And I find it let me say this. A friend of mine, he died a number of years ago, Dr. Asa Hilliard. Big professor.
Yeah, he was at Georgia State.
Yeah. Dr. Hilliard, light-skinned, blue-eyed brother, but brother all the way live. He would go to Africa every year, and he would take tours of Africa, take groups and whatnot. And he's been doing this for like 35 years, every year. He takes these groups and whatnot, and he's an authority. He's one of the experts, like Dr. Horace with the pyramids. And Asa got his regular inoculations and everything when he took the group over. And he ended up, now this is what they tell us, that he ended up being bitten by the tsetse fly, and he died. But now, now Asa, deep brother, man, his book is called Saba, SBA. He said Saba is the reawakening of the African mind. We've been homogenized, we've been tricked, we've been thrown off point and whatnot. But deep down inside, man, every now and then I'll have a dream and I'll see a brick. I'll see a brick going in place, and I'm saying, what's this brick about? I think that I'm slowly, every now and then, starting to kind of remember how I built that pyramid. And so the African mind is where we start thinking collectively and thinking outside the box and try to remove this outside noise and let that deep African mind that's constantly talking to us, and the universe is constantly talking to us, but it's so much noise that we're missing some stuff. So we have to get quiet sometimes, and we have to open up. And it's not going to happen overnight, but as bits and pieces come, it brings you along. And so it's always good, like I say, to meet brothers like you have here today, man, where we can throw some collective thinking out here and never know when you stumble up on something.
Well, let me get your thoughts on this. We've been asked by Sobek Raharu to mention Albert Perry. Do you guys know the story of Albert Perry?
Is that in South Carolina?
South Carolina.
That's the South Carolina man.
My Green Beret cousin from New York, Ed Coleman. Ed and I have been very close over the years, man. Ed died day before yesterday. Thank you. Ed took me to South Carolina. Now, my grandfather brought my dad to Atlanta when my dad was 2 years old, 1916. Ed took me to the family I didn't know in South Carolina, more on his side, and took me to the grave site, and he called him Albert Perry, the sleeping preacher. That is one of his distant relatives. So I've got all the documentation in my file cabinet downstairs and whatnot. This man was not a learned man. He couldn't read. He just knew the Bible. And it got to a point where he could go to sleep, and the mayor or the governor in these little small towns and stuff would pay money and come there, and they would have places outside for the wagons and the horses and everything. And they would come in while he's laying in his bed, and he would be asleep. And he would slip into a state, and his voice would change, and he would quote the Bible, verse and chapter, everything perfectly lined up. His voice would change, and this man that didn't have the capacity normally for something like this. And so people played big money man came from up north and everything like you were talking about earlier. And so, yeah, that's my knowledge there on the sleeping preacher, Mr. Perry.
Right. And what the church that my mother, my aunt, and them grew up here in Chicago is called Bethlehem Healing Temple. It's on the west side of the city. The preacher's wife, whose name was Sister Mattie B. Poole, she used to heal people.
Mm-hmm.
So it was two sides to the church. There was the church where the Sunday services are held, and there was the side where she would heal people. And on the walls around the church at the top would number crutches, canes, walkers. They said that they were even bringing people from the Cook County Hospital who were pronounced dead, and she would bring them back to life.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So what do y'all think about this DNA? This man is in South Carolina. He's got the oldest DNA. Wouldn't this support the young people's theory that not everybody came out of Africa?
Yeah, Donnie, to put it in,
is this too deep for this conversation?
To put it in perspective, most of us, if you were to do a DNA test, your chromosome, your Y chromosome, would go back 60,000, maybe up to 150,000 years. Mr. Perry's was documented as being over 340,000 years old. Mm-hmm. They still have yet to find a fossil somewhere in Africa with that Y chromosome that matches up to Mr. Perry's ancestry year.
Did they find his brother? Did they find his children? Is he the only one? I mean, if it's in him, who else is it in?
All the males in the family.
Yeah.
It could be in some of us right here on this panel.
Yeah.
But we haven't taken our DNA test yet, and it's interesting. It's interesting we're having this conversation I'm getting ready to take my DNA test. Being,
It's a scam.
well, again, just to try to get a ballpark figure of what's going on in reference to where my heritage may be. Puerto Ricans
really
understand. Puerto Ricans understand that there's no such thing as a Puerto Rican race. Right. We are mixed. We know that our African heritage is Ashanti. We know that we have the Tainos, and we know we have the Spaniard mixture all in there.
Boricua.
Thanks for telling me. I got
Correct.
some Boricua on that side. But what I'm saying is people saying in the comments that the DNA test is a scam.
So I took my DNA test like 6 years ago. I'm pretty good at it. So think about this. So if someone commits a crime, a murder or something, and the cops find someone by DNA, they don't find it just because the DNA says it's you. If one of your relatives took a DNA test, they can narrow it down. Like the caller said, one of the panelists said about the Y haplogroup, your father's DNA, and then your mother's DNA is specific as well. So them two combinations, they can narrow you down. You get what I mean? So it's not a fallacy with DNA. I think that we get kind of misled by those who get money from it, but it's a true science behind it. That genome is real.
Yeah.
Okay, well, why 23andMe made billions of dollars lying and stealing? 23andMe is a DNA company, and they have been reported to be on some BS.
So you know that you could take your DNA, like, say I took my Ancestry, right? So they give you this misleading thing, but you could take the raw data from that.
Correct.
And you can upload it to this site called GEDmat. It's no pictures or nothing. It just spits out the percentages. So I did that, and I look at my chromosomes as far as the Native Americans. So Ancestry say I got 1%. So they say I got a 1/4 great grandparent that was a Native American. But when I load my DNA, my raw data into GEDmatch, my percentages on my chromosomes go to 12.5%, 8%. So that 12.5% mean that that I got a grandparent that's 100%. You get what I mean?
Sobek raises the question I have. These DNA companies, and I'm going back to Henry Louis Gates. Skip Gates said that 2 to 3% of black people, 2 to 3% of us got indigenous roots. That's what Skip Gates said.
Because
on
he
this
got
show
his
alone, that somehow we must have interviewed all of the 2 to 3%, because damn near every other person, melanated person that come on this show has heard the grandma's story. So I agree with you, Sobek. They don't knowingly, readily identify any blood markers for Southeast Indians in America. And when you go to Georgia, there's a melanated people in Georgia. I mean, they black, they chocolate black, and it's unmistakable. You see them.
Yeah, when they the Smithsonian, even when they talked about the Creek Nation, they labeled them as Negroes.
Right. That's funny that you say that, because I'm looking at my grandmother's records and stuff. When she came in from Puerto Rico, they classified her as Negro as well. Like
when they do that, they took her land rights.
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
And that was the whole thing about. Thank you. You just summed it up. That's the whole thing about this guy, Walter Plecker.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Mike Lane. Walter Plecker in Richmond, Virginia, the Racial Integrity Act. All our lives, Morocco, we've been thinking of the 1 drop rule, 1 drop and you black, 1 drop and you black. We were totally looking in the wrong direction. 1 drop and you black, giving Walter Plecker the right to say, oh, you're not Native American at all. You all black.
Right.
Who in the hell has the right? They talking about this guy, Charlie Kirk. Look at these rights. These are wrongs that have not been corrected for hundreds of years. And you want me to cry for this racist?
Hey, can I say something? Another thing.
Damn right they desperate.
The reason why I lean toward us being native or indigenous, original, or organic to this particular part of the planet is because for a couple of reasons. I was watching the National Geographic on the pyramids of the world, and they talked about pyramids everywhere except for America.
Mm.
The only pyramid that they mentioned was Cahokia and some alleged pyramid that's under a lake in Wisconsin. So I'm saying to myself, man, you got 1 million pyramids all over the world, but it's only 2 in America.
All in Mississippi, all
But
in
no,
North Carolina,
no,
South
no,
Carolina.
To the brother Morocco, where about you live at in Atlanta, brother Morocco?
What did you say about it?
I said, what part of Atlanta do you live in?
In Southwest. I'm about 5 or 10 minutes from the Morehouse AU Spelman Center.
Okay,
Down
well,
there in the SWAT, go SWAT.
you know where Moreland Avenue is at, right?
Of course, yes.
You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 pyramids clustered up right there together. It's a big pyramid on Moreland Avenue, and the other one that's right there on 675 and Moreland Avenue in Conley. It's 2 big ones right there, but the one that's on the other side of 285 going back toward Atlanta, that pyramid is 10 times bigger than the one that's right there across the highway from it in Conley, and that one is gigantic. The one that they got covered up with a green tarp.
Now, I've heard something along those lines.
Yes.
Some
See the
years
picture of
ago.
Morocco?
I've heard about it. I've heard about the first one that Horace talked about.
No,
But-
do you see the picture on the screen?
Yeah. And you got, when you start going outside of Atlanta, going towards like South Carolina, you see these turns off on the highway where they've got Indian mounds kind of thing.
They're everywhere.
But there was a brother that came, and I think this got kind of convoluted. There was a brother here, and he had started the new African movement, something else. And he had a following. And to me, it had a little flavoring of Jim Jones or whatever. But he had people that were following him. And he was setting up an area kind of like with pyramids and whatnot. And the powers that be eventually rode in on the white horses, man, and shut it down and brought him up on charges and said,
You're talking about Malachi Z. York.
I believe that was it, where he was supposedly raping women. And, you know,
Oh, that's it, man. His name to come up twice this week. Malachi York, born in Baltimore.
Yeah, well, see, they put those labels on him and make you, create this monster. And then people shy away from it and say, well, man, that guy, something's wrong with him and whatnot. But
no, that cat was deep, man.
Had to be some truth in it. But I walk with this, man. I don't care what nobody says. I walk with this. Africa is the beginning. That's where everything started. And some years ago, they shot some beams of light and whatnot into a black hole, a star that had burned out eons ago. They shot this beam of light in and they read what was in that black hole. They said the most prominent and prevalent thing that they found in that black hole was melanin. And so, to me, Africa is the beginning, and everything has radiated off of us, our DNA, and everything has migrated out of Africa, except there's something off that I haven't been able to put my hands on yet. There's a whole nother kind of thing from a whole nother place and time that don't fit. But for all intent and purpose, mankind has all evolved out of Africa. And you've got recessive genes, you got mutations, you got geographical effects of the sun here and the weather here and the cold and the whole 9 yards. But as I check back, when I look for the white man, the only thing I can find is him about 6,000 years ago in Greece. That's about as far back as I can take it. That's my little thing.
So this is your Malachi York here. And for those that don't know, yes, he's serving like 120 years or something in prison. Born Dwight York, Malachi Z. York is a controversial, and this is AI, this is not my description, controversial American cult leader, that's what they say cult, and founder of Nubian Nation. Man, this man created his own language. Yeah. A black nationalist group. He was convicted in 2004 child molestation rape, racketeering, and other felonies and serving a 135-year sentence.
He had
Founded
pyramids
in the 60s. Yeah, Malachi York.
Yeah, he had pyramids in Eatonton, Georgia, right?
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
But was he bringing too much consciousness down there in them little country towns and waking
That's
folks
the
up?
problem.
And they said, man, we got to shut this guy down here, man. He's bringing knowledge.
Yeah.
Just like
So I had the book on him like in the 90s, like 95. I came across Malachi Z. York in the Washington, what's they call Washington, right?
Washington Moors.
Yeah, the Washington Moors. They were what with Malachi, right?
Yeah.
Hey, brother Morocco, I want to read you something.
Yeah.
And it's, you know, when we had these discussions and I'm communicating with people and just skimming through information, a lot of times that I just come up on a brand new revelation out of nowhere.
Okay.
But this, I'm gonna read this, and it says that the 12 consciousness dimensions of spiritual man will receive their central reprogramming in the original land of the Ancient of Days. This is the sacred land of the West, which is the region of the original grids used by the masters of YHWH, and that's 3-4000 MYR. So now, according to this, it says that the land of the Ancient of Days is the West, which is the region of the original grids.
Okay. And that's interesting when you say original grids. You know,
the land of the Ancient of Days, which is the sacred land of the West, which is the region of the original grids, which would sort of debunk the outer Africa theory.
Yeah, and those grids they talk about, the first thing that comes to me is like latitude and longitude. We may be looking at the wrong. We looking at their lines, okay, but there's some other lines there that are synonymous with all of whatever we about. We just haven't tapped into it yet.
We know there's some tectonic plate shifting around the globe, and Africa didn't once exist, or the entire landmass didn't once exist in the longitude latitude that it exists today as we know it.
Did we ever hear about earthquakes and stuff like that and separations in Africa? I don't don't recall any.
Yeah, just the man-made one when they blew up the Suez Canal.
Yeah. Now, I was invited out to the Blackfoot Indian Nation in Browning, Montana, about 9 years ago. Okay. And my wife saw on TV on a farm in Wisconsin, a white buffalo was born on this white farmer's land. Native Americans came from all over the world to that farmer's land and stayed on those fences and everything. And they had all kind of trinkets, then dream catchers and all kind of special things. And they said that they were there to protect that white buffalo. And so my wife said, I wish I knew somebody, a Native American, to ask about it. What's the significance of this white buffalo? And so I had gone to a conference out in Denver, and there was a guy in my class named Lawrence Tailfeathers from Browning, Montana, Blackfeet Nation. I called him. I found his card. I called him, started talking to him. And he said, well, Morocco, he says, it was prophesied 15 centuries ago that a white buffalo would be born at this time. It was prophesied by a shaman. He said there have been many white buffaloes born over these 15 centuries, but this one would be special. And said it was so special that when this buffalo is born, he said it will be different from the others. It will be a brown-eyed white buffalo. All the others over the 15 centuries have been pink-eyed albino. He says after this buffalo is born, the father of the buffalo will die. Not long afterwards, they found a buffalo out in the field dead. I didn't understand the significance of it at the time. And then it says that the buffalo, they named the buffalo Miracle. And they said Miracle will start changing colors. Miracle will turn black, yellow, red, and finally silver. And so on the internet, that's what they posted, and those were the things that took place. Now, I kept asking questions like, well, what does it mean? What's the significance of it? And he kept giving me the tourist kind of thing. And so finally he says, you won't let this go, will you? I said, no. I said, because many of us blacks have some Native American ancestry. We just haven't tapped into it or don't know how to get into it. He said, all right, I'll tell you what, I'm inviting you and your wife out to our Indian days, which is like big powwow. So we fly out to Great Falls, Montana, drove 150 miles up to the Continental Divide. We are at the reservation. The reservation is a little town. And I met the chief Earl Old Person. And they asked me to carry the American flag in the opening ceremony with their color guard. And then they announced that I was the special guest from Atlanta, Georgia. 5,000 people came from all over the world. My wife and I were the only blacks there except one other brother. And so on the third day, that Wednesday, they had me to come out and do an honor dance with 40 Vietnam veterans that were Blackfeet. And so by the time I got ready to leave, I asked Lawrence, I said, well, okay, what is the significance of this white buffalo that was prophesied by a shaman 15 centuries ago? He said, in your culture, you have the Father, the Son, the Holy Ghost. We have the eagle, the bear, and the white buffalo. He said the significance of this white buffalo and everything that's taking place now is headed towards the coming together of mankind, of those that are conscious. Now, he got kind of deep with me on that. But he says, for those that are conscious, it will mean the beginning of the coming together of mankind. And so that's what I left Brown in Montana with. And I still walk with that. Now, I was always bothered by like, well, what was the significance of the father of the buffalo dying? Well, the buffalo miracle died after about 4 or 5 years, and a second brown-eyed white buffalo was born there. Went through the same color changes and everything. And then after that one died, it was a third one. So if the supposed father of the buffalo died, where was this line coming from? I haven't gotten up on that yet, but I found that was interesting, and it was interesting enough that I went all the way to Brown in Montana to assimilate in that culture and to get in touch. Yeah.
Has anybody ever heard of the Moon people up in northern Georgia, going toward Tennessee, as well as the Lumbee Indians in Lumbee, North Carolina?
Lumbee, yeah. When I went to school up that way, yeah.
Yeah,
if you guys do it,
and all of them look like Puerto Ricans.
Yep. If you guys do it,
light-skinned Puerto Ricans, that is. Yeah.
Yeah, if you guys do a Google search about the Moon-eyed people, the man who enslaved our family was the one who told Barton about them.
Wow.
Now, I went to school in North Carolina Central up in Durham. My freshman year was in 1964. And it was only in the last 7 or 8 years that I realized that me and my classmates, or these beautiful women up there, man, were Native American. I had no clue. I'm just looking at them saying, oh, these red bones, blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. But man, these are Native Americans. And that culture's heavy.
Yeah, that's what I was saying about the free people of color. So when those free people of color left out of Virginia and they went into like Fort Christiana, and you get them Haliwa Saponis, you get them families like the Gibsons, the Chavezes, the Harrises. They all right there in like Granville, North Carolina. What's the other one called? Halifax, North Carolina. Yeah. It's the Lumbees in Ropes in South Carolina. And it's another neighborhood right there. But all these folks got roots in with the free people of color out of Virginia. When you start looking at the surnames, the last names will connect with you. You know what I'm saying? That's what we missing, is like understanding our last names, because our last names do have history here. You might think it's a European last name, right, but some of these, when them Europeans were having Native American having children with Native Americans, them children took them surnames.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then them children, how things go, they interacted with different cultures, and that's why I'm saying we got to pay attention. We got to re-educate ourselves about Native American history. We got to re-educate ourselves about what happened when them first colonialists came into Virginia. So we got to look at it from the 1619 perspective, and then we also got to look at 1524 when the Spanish got here.
Yeah.
So that means that we got to know Spanish. You know what I'm saying? Some of us got to learn how to read Spanish. And once we read Spanish, we can understand Portuguese and Italian. Then once we learn that, then we looking from an English vision. You get what I mean?
Right.
So, but it was deeper than that. You got the French here. You know, what was the beef between the English, French, and Spanish? That's why you get these Pirates of the Caribbean, because the English and the Spanish were looting each other's ships.
Yeah.
You get what I mean? So I think once we get a grip on history, we'll have a better understanding.
Well, you do know that the English language itself was an original trade language. That everybody learned that language to be able to trade with each other from whatever part of the world that they were from. So it's not just the language of English, because we got to realize the Europeans that we know of was sort of suffering from a uncivilized state. That's where those 3 degrees of how to crawl, how to stand, and how to walk come from. Right. So they never created anything so far as just a language of conquest, but it was an original language for trading purposes only.
Yeah, I think we're speaking a bastardized German language because English is rooted in German. That's why we say good morning, and good morning is Guten Morgen. And if you start looking at German, you can understand German just basically by looking at the words.
And depending on what ship you may have gotten off of your ancestors, you may have a broken language. You know, a lot of folks don't realize that Jamaica language is the way that it is because they've had multiple languages. They started off with Spanish. A lot of folks don't know that the Spaniards colonized Jamaica first, and then the British came in and they had to change from Spanish to English, and they have a broken language. You look at Haiti and the French and the patois that they speak in Haiti. You know, it's an adapted form of French, and in some cases it was codic. It was a code that they used among their people, so that they, that the slave master wouldn't know what they were talking about half the time. You know what I mean?
Right.
So you see that all throughout the region. When you look at Cuba and the languages of Cuba, the reason why you see in some cases Spanish dialect doesn't match up in different regions. Somebody in Cuba is not going, there's certain words they're going to say. It's not going to be recognized in Puerto Rico. It's not going to be recognized in Mexico, because the dialect was totally different because of that, that influence, of the colonizers, So language.
That's true. Yeah. Like in Chicago, we call, on the East Coast, I think, and down South, they call soda. We call it pop.
Right.
Yeah, we call it pop here in Detroit too.
In Louisiana, they call it cold drink.
Cool. And then in Alabama, they call it Coca-Cola. They call it cola.
Everything
they call it cola
in Alabama.
Everything has cola. Right.
But after doing those 2 DNAs I've got with the genome and with Ancestry and whatnot, and my wife used to kid me about this, but like I say, 72% Africa, 22% all through Europe, and 2% North America. And when we would go to the islands, when we go to a foreign country, or if I go from here over to Chitlin Switch, Alabama, when I get to these places, it's always somebody that's going to slide up on me and say, hey, brother, who are you? Where you from? And they eventually say, you ain't no tourist, man. Come on with us. And they take me to the house, or they take me in and inculcate me into the culture in these places where I go. And I thought about it, at different times I thought about it. But once I got into the DNA, I don't know my real name, but once I got into DNA, it leads me to my folk.
Yeah.
And so I've come away with this concept that my DNA is all over these different places. So when I get to these places where my feet touch down, I'm at home. I don't know it personally, but my subconscious, man, is at home. And people evidently see me walking so comfortable, man, and I'm in my element, that it's like this guy walking like he knows something. He been around here or something.
Yeah.
And that's when they step into the aura and want to know what my pedigree is. And I have met some of the greatest folk, man, and the most wonderful experiences. Yeah.
Yeah, but Donnie, you hear what he's saying, Donnie? There's a sense of pride of knowing, you know, that heritage, that history, you know, where your people originate from. And that's what I'm hoping to accomplish with my DNA test. My mom's did a lot of research, went into the churches, went to Spain, went into the churches. We know that we have a Black origin, an African origin. We're not sure what it is because we know that the Moors were in that region during the time after the Spaniards had conquered that region. Many Moors stayed around. Many of them converted to Catholicism, to Catholic religion, and many of them worked for Spain. Some of them were indigenous servants. Some of them worked for the Spanish army, and etc. So we know that we have ancestry that takes us back to Africa, but we're not sure if it's Moorish, enslaved, you know, from the Ashanti tribe, because most of us Puerto Ricans have an Ashanti tie-in. So I'm hoping that maybe by the next time we come back, I'll have something to be able to present. But there's a pride, you know, a sense of pride that's really interwoven in you once you understand what your ancestry is.
J-Rod, I think, J-Rod, you would greatly benefit from once you get your DNA, because it's so far down the line now and so much has been developed with it that you got so many things that are wide open to you once you get that clarification of what it is and everything. And you can go in so many different directions. And then with your consciousness level, man, you going to have fun with it.
I got to share some of these comments with you. Yes, the maps are changed up the towns, the cities and locations. Got to ask yourself why. And by now, we should know why. Thank you, Zaria. Kundalini. Of course, Blacks were all over the world before the flood. It was one continent, Pangea. After the flood, the continents separated. Stella, thank you for your contributions tonight. Ever wondered about the South Carolina flag? That's not a moon. DNA combined with genealogy tells a broader story when combined with the research. Mike from Tampa. Zaria, our people were telling us verbally and orally who we are.
There you go.
It's interesting that she mentioned the South Carolina flag. We know that, again, there was an Islamic, you know, the first, you know, enslaved people. You know, there's churches that still have, you know, the artistry of the carpenters who were, again, Islamic, who have left Islamic writing in these historical Baptist churches in South Carolina. So we know there was a huge presence of Muslim enslaved people in South Carolina. So that's a crescent. That's a crescent.
I wanted to share this with Hannibal. You mentioned the Spanish in 1525. So in my book that came out in 2021, I Am Black Wall Street, I talk about that. I was very disturbed about the 1619 project.
Yes, sir.
I was very disturbed because it says it goes back to the British coming to Jamestown, Virginia, up the James River. But in my research, I found about the Spanish. A Spanish slaver came here, and the people he enslaved beat him up and rolled off into the Gullah Islands. At least 100 years earlier. And we got to remember, like you said, the Spanish and the Portuguese had colonized South America for at least a century before the British were Johnny come lately.
Do you guys know the connection between the Spanish and the Muslims?
Well, yeah.
Did you know that? Did you know that the word Ola means Allah or the morning star? They very greeting means Allah. Did you know that a taco is actually a shawarma? That the Muslims came to Mexico and told them to fix food, but it wasn't too much lamb down there, so they created it out the resources they had. Did you know that the Jamaicans used to work in Mexico. That's why you got Spanish Town in Jamaica, right? Or is it something like that in Jamaica?
That's right.
Yeah.
You know, so it's deeper. I think they was traveling more than we travel now.
Yeah.
Back then. You
And
know,
the
I think they
point,
were
through the whole land.
Yeah.
Before the event of the European by way of the Mississippi River.
Mhm.
You know, that was our main Amtrak, was the Mississippi. When the Spaniards got the Hispaniola, they went into Mexico and they tried to divide the Olmecs, the Aztecs, and the Incas up as if they were different groups of people. They weren't. They were same people. And they weren't searched for silver, and they try to make it seem as if those people from the sun pyramids and the moon pyramids, like they just up and disappeared without stating that they were actually murdered or exiled.
A lot of them explorers did say they seen Negroes here. I think the last time we talked, we was talking about someone mentioned the Pequods or the Narragansetts or Verrazano. You know, that bridge up in New York, the Verrazano.
Yeah, the Tainos. You know, all the South Americans, man, those people been there for aeons, man. We've been everywhere on the planet for aeons, but everything, all of the trends came from this part of the world. That's why it's still coming from this part of the world.
You know, but I think that we got the documents to connect us to these indigenous people. I think that it's going to take those who have it, because it's groups of people that's been researching for eons. Like I was telling Donnie, I'm a part of a group of people that took the DNA test. It's about 250 of us from out of Alabama. It's called the Alabama Black Belt DNA Group. We on Facebook, and we've been doing the research, so we understand the connections.
Put that out there again, big bro. Tell us the name of it.
It's called Alabama Black Belt DNA Group. It's a private group now, but I could try to make it public. You might could see some of our posts on there. We talk about some of everybody. We talk about Prince Raheem Abdullah. We talk about how we connect to him. We talk about the Georgetown GU 272, their connections with the Muslim slaves. We talk about a lot of things. You know, we talk about. Have you ever heard of a Cherokee named Junaluska? Jun. Yeah, this one guy you need to know. Junaluska. This is the guy who went into Alabama with Andrew Jackson. And the other Creek person was from the lower creeks is named William McIntosh. And then the slave owners that own the white Europeans that own my kin, them the four elements. Junaluska of the Cherokees, Andrew Jackson, William McIntosh of the lower creeks, and then slavers that I've been telling you about from Coosa County, Alabama.
So you guys mentioned the slave ships. Have y'all ever heard of this guy right here? Since you like talking about Pirates of the Caribbean, you ever heard of Black Caesar?
Was that Yanga?
Black Caesar
from Rome?
No, Black Caesar. He was a pirate. And when them ships, they were out there robbing each other. They were robbing slave ships. Anyway, he got up off of one of them ships and became a pirate. And he ended up with about $6-7 million worth of silver. They hung him in Virginia. And I would argue he was the first black millionaire in America. Black Caesar, he hid out in Biscayne Bay. People down in Florida know that's Miami. Black Caesar was chilling in Miami. I'm going to put up a couple more of these comments. Any final thoughts, gentlemen, before we get out of here? Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for the invite.
This is my new book, Black Blueprint, Baltimore to Burkina Faso. Black Blueprint, Baltimore to Burkina Faso. How you like that, Jason? Is that fly enough for you?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Nice.
Yes, sir.
From Baltimore to Burkina Faso. We're looking at how we can work together. So any final thoughts before we get out here tonight? Let's start with you, Horace.
Well, I wanna do my honor list before I go. I, of course, want to start off with Prophet Noble Ali, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, Malcolm X, Khalid Abdul Muhammad, Taj Tariq Bey, Dr. Francis C. Wilson, Dr. Ari Khanna, Sister Shahrazad Ali, Mama T, Vicky Diller, Sister Myra, Dr. Joy DeGrew, C. Freeman L, Dr. Malachi York, Shay Guevara, Omali Shatila, the beloved brother Bobby Hemmett, the Honorable Reverend Phil Valentine, Nellie Fuller, Fred Hampton, Ivan Van Sertima, Dr. Ben, Dr. Henry, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, Anthony Browder, Rod Hayes, Dan Calloway, and I have Karimu Hua. And that brother there, man, if y'all watch his channel, man, he be going into the books.
Yeah, he deep.
Yeah, so I say to those that list right there. Yes, sir.
They got a burning question. What does it mean when you find multiple surnames on a tribal list, Hannibal?
So I know, like when it comes to like the Creek Nation, you're gonna find several names. So when you find multiple surnames, they just go back generation, because each person had parents, so each one make two. You get what I mean? So like I know like with me and my grandparents, I got 4 grandparents like everybody else do, and you got 8 great grandparents, and you notice that each generation it increases doubles. So by the time you get back to like 1830, 1860, you should be back to like your third. Like I'm 51, so I'm back to my third and my third great grandparent. It's around that time, and because my third great grandfather, my oldest one, he was born like 1792, so he was in his 60s when the emancipation happened. So if you can find your third great grandparents, even your second great grandparents, and it's document, believe you me, it's documentation on them, because there was a small population, and our ancestors did some wonderful things. Believe you me, they did. I mean, we just got to find it. It's in research, it's in newspaper articles, it's in family stories, it's in Bibles. Believe it or not.
Yeah.
Candy Bar at DJ Sweetness, I'm proud of you. We must have did a good show. She said no arrows.
Hey, Horace, I got my wife's uncle was in Chicago. He's deceased now, Vernon Jarrett. And Vernon, World War II Navy vet, man, and he was on the board of the NAACP moving shape.
Cut the crap, Morocco. Vernon Jarrett gave us Barack Obama.
Yeah, well, Vernon Jarrett, whenever he got to a town, he would always take his PDA and go to the nearest cemetery. And I was always trying to figure out what he was doing, man, but he would go through cemeteries and he'd write these names down and whatnot. That was part of his research. At the same time, Horace, you mentioned some names that got me started back in the day, man. Bobby Hemmett and Fred Valentine, man. So yeah, I can relate.
Yes, sir. I think hey man, I'm so proud of the younger generation, man. And not to go against what anybody believes as far as the out of Africa theory, but you can't tell the younger generation that no more, man.
No.
They say, man, we from here.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm proud of them too.
Not having none of it.
They have none of it. Yes, sir.
None of it.
And that's why it's time for us as being the elders to back them up and show them the way. They can't be out here by themselves.
Exactly.
I am proud of y'all, and I thank you for entertaining this. You know, we can't bring just anybody on here. The first question I'm asking, do you have Indian in your family? And if they look at me sideways, then I know just keep it moving. But all of you have been, man, I've learned so much. I can't even begin. I just thank the creator and thank all of these beautiful people on here. That's it. We'll be back again tomorrow. We're trying to mix the topics up. But I'll tell you, this cat over here in Washington, D.C., somebody, you know, he even got this country all messed up, man.
It's done purposely. It's done purposely. And again, it's all part of that fascism playbook. So I think it's going to get worse.
The ancestor Billy Barnett of the Creek Nation. Ufala.
Yeah. Well,
I think everybody should read The Protocols of the Wise Men of Zion.
Yep.
Write that down.
Hold the Pale Horse.
Oh, that's that William Cooper.
Yeah, and that was where I first saw those protocols too.
Yeah.
What's the other one? By Randolph is you got the Miseducation of the Negro, and it's another one called the Debt. You ever read the Debt?
No, like DET.
Yeah, DEBT.
Okay, Debt.
And I think that's by Randolph.
When your birthday, Hannibal?
February 17th of 74.
All right, well, I'm gonna buy you a tripod for your birthday because you done. I was watching NFL, watching Lamar Jackson out there. Shout out to the Ravens.
Getting closer.
And I want to give one more shout out to a name that I don't know how I forgot, but most definitely Dr. Claude Anderson.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Well, it's been an honor, gentlemen.
Yes,
Good night,
sir.
brother.
Good night.
Talk soon.